Namaste, angels. This is the full buck moon reading in Capricorn, the full moon in Capricorn, and the lunar eclipse. We're going to go right into it, beginning with a little something from the almanac, as I always like to begin my full moon readings with going to the actual farmer's almanac and seeing what it has to say about it. So we're going to do that. It's www.almanac.com. Anybody else that wants to look it up, follow it. I didn't write this, right? July's full moon will rise after sunset in the evening of Saturday, July 4th, before reaching peak illumination at 12:44 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday, July 5th. Look toward the southeast to watch it rise above the horizon. How fun for our bright satellite to join Independence Day fireworks in the night sky. Why is it called the buck moon? Traditionally, the full moon in July is called the buck moon because a buck's antlers are in full growth mode at this time. This full moon was also known as the thunder moon because thunderstorms are so frequent during this month. The tradition of naming moons is rich in history. Here at the Farmer's Almanac, we have long honored the Native American moon names and folklore of those who came before us. We follow the full moon names that were used during Native American and colonial times to help to track the seasons, usually by the Algonquin people who were prominent along the Atlantic coast and into the interior along the St. Lawrence River and around the Great Lakes. They have a full buck moon video. Anybody wants to go to their site and check that out. Moon facts: on July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong became the first person to step foot on the moon. He also placed the U.S. flag there. On July 31st, 1999, the ashes of astrogeologist Eugene Shoemaker were deposited on the moon. We leave you with a poem by James N. Matthews, who lived from 1852 to 1910, A Moon-Flooded Prairie, a straying of leal-hearted lovers, a baying of far-away watching dogs, a dreaming of brown-fisted farmers, a gleaming of fireflies eddying nigh, and that is July. All right, so that's the end of that. And just to give a little bit about what I feel the moon is going to bring, first and foremost, the buck moon always brings the death of Black people, usually at the hands of police or some sort of like a so-called authority, particularly young Black males. You can look at it through history, the past years. Around the time of the buck moon, always people get killed. So it already started today. I don't know if this guy died, but a Black man suspected of having stolen a barbecue grill, I guess a small grill or something, from a Walmart, was shot 11 times by an off-duty cop, or shot at 11 times by an off-duty cop and rushed to the hospital. So he was struck. I don't know what happened, but the full moon wasn't even like good and settled yet, and already it had started. So that's one thing that always comes with the buck moon in my observance and I've been watching it for a long time now. These are the young bucks, so that's why it happens. And we did start early this year with the murder, and it's been pretty rampant. But I don't feel that we were, that's going to absolve us, that was it. And again, it already happened today. On a more positive note, I think the full moon, other than that, will bring good things. One of them being money. And I have no idea what phone that is because it's not mine. But when something happens like that during a reading, it's often the universe co-signing what someone is saying or doing. It's a sign that we should be taking. All right, stop. So yes, the Capricorn is the workhorse of the zodiac, and I think it'll be about economy stimulation, or it will help to bring about economy stimulation, get people back either working, or I think a lot of entrepreneurship, to be honest with you, coming up with creative. I've seen the Empress so many times this week, and we won't see her again because I didn't pull out any tarot cards. These are actually all oracle decks that I'm going to use for this reading, but I've been using tarot all weekend for the love reading and the general, 3 different tarot decks, and the Empress and the High Priestess as well just kept popping up. And so I think that not only will There'll be, again, people coming up with creative ways to help to bring about abundance to themselves, and maybe taking advantage of that feminine energy that they're being blessed with from the high priestess, from the empress, and from the moon. The moon is a feminine energy, and so is the sign of Cancer, which it rules. And surrendering to their intuition and guidance that they're receiving. And it's like that thing that you've been, burying and pushing, that you've been wanting to do for so long, but you never actually did it. You just kept pushing it aside. It is time for you to do that now. And, people are going to get motivated and get to work, right? And, start making some money and stuff, or finding ways to supplement themselves, and maybe like growing their own food. And that wouldn't just be from the Capricorn full moon. That would also be from another transit that occurs this week, which is Ceres, the asteroid, going retrograde. It's going to, in Pisces, in the sign of Pisces, it's going to, well, Ceres was the goddess of the like the hearth, the grain, and like a mother nature sort of energy and figure. And so that could be a strong theme that comes up too, if we're not making money, or it could be both. It could be in tandem, like, new creative ways to go about making money, and we're growing our own food and seasonings, and feeding our children organic stuff and using organic products, going back to the ways of the indigenous. We just read about I like to go to the almanac, which is, was created by one of my ancestors as a Black person, but uses a lot of information from my other ancestors. As I'm a Black person, but that's my race, but my heritage is that I'm descendant of Africans and natives. So it's like getting back to those old ways of, if you had toenail fungus, you used tea tree oil. You didn't go to CVS and buy a bottle of who knows what, So it's like that, getting back to that sort of thing is definitely what I see. Not only from the moon, but from this period and from all the transits combined. Chiron, the asteroid, also goes retrograde this week in the sign of Aries. All right, so let's get into it, beginning with the card. So this card, I hadn't even noticed, but it says the same thing that I just I was talking about, surrendering to our guidance, right, that we receive, and actually following through with it for a change, whereas we may have been pushing it down and burying it, because that's what that Ceres retrograde in Pisces transit is about, like those things that are deep down that we've been pushing away, rising to the surface, and we have to deal with them, like once and for all. Tune into your inner voice. Be aware of any feelings, flashes, knowings, or aha moments that come through to guide you. Also up right behind that, maybe some Leo energy. I also felt this yesterday during the general reading when I was doing that. I think it was the general reading when I was working on that. All of a sudden I, had like an aha moment myself about the Lion's Gate. And I even named the video something like Lion's Gate Prep, in part. So this is the representative very strongly of the energy of Leo for me with this lion here. A Leo could be particularly significant, during this period to some of us. Your life is calling for you to step into your full power, rather than playing it small. So again, rather than maybe working for somebody else and playing it small in that sense, this is you being the boss now, because you're going to start working for yourself. And then speaking of working, so now we step into this very earth energy here with surrender to your soul's path. Your life's journey has been perfectly designed for your soul's growth. Embrace every lesson and moment. Also upright, this is the last one. Surrender to rest and sleep. To prevent burnout, slow down, honor your need for quiet time and peaceful sleep to rejuvenate your body and your mind and your spirit. From the numerology deck, I was guided to pull this out. 5, change is the only one that's upright, but definitely I think sweeping change is coming, and that's what happens with a full moon and with a lunar eclipse. Both are about bringing about complete endings. Something is never going to exist the way it did yesterday again. So that is complete change, and you may see a bunch of like multiple fives. I certainly did yesterday. I kept seeing the repeating five. I mean, I see numbers all the time, but yesterday's number was definitely 5 for me. From the Keepers of the Light Oracle, Lady Venus, downloads and understanding. So again, we're going to surrender to our intuition. Why? Because we're receiving so many messages. Truth is being revealed. Deep insights are coming from heaven and the astral realm. And look what we have here, also upright. This is so Capricorn, isn't it? Cernunos, life force. Express your driving passion. Sensual and sexual powers are increased. Amen. Because I can't tell you how much of this I saw. Well, I kind of did tell you. I told you how many times the Empress and the High Priestess showed up, and then they even showed up sort of like together, and that is very, very sexual, like heightened sexual energy. And I didn't say it in the love reading. I talked about perhaps like same-sex couples and stuff happening, a lot of, and maybe particularly lesbian couples, and maybe you hadn't been a lesbian before, and you're going to change, you're going to finally come out or something like that. But also, like right before I started this one, when I looked at the Tantric Union card, which is the only one upright from this deck, the Universal Love Oracle, I started feeling something about like polyamory too, or like maybe love triangles that we don't really mind so much. Like we know our man or our woman is with somebody else, but we're kind of like going with the flow, like everybody's happy. I saw something like that also. Or perhaps if happy isn't the word, satisfied is. Like everybody's at least getting what they need. So Tantric Union, for me, is typically not about like physical connection necessarily. It is about ascended connections. It's about ascended love. And it still is. But again, when I saw this card, I had these thoughts and this like, these messages that came in because it was coming through very sexual. So tantric sex specifically can be like a very methodical way about going, an intentional means of having sex involving different positions, for one who really wants to get, technical about it. And the length of time that you spend having sex, going for hours, perhaps without orgasm. Some people train themselves to hold that back, and that's part of the tantric sex experience. And ultimately, it's all for the purposes of sort of uniting, like becoming one through sex. And, it comes from the word, I think it's a Sanskrit word, tantra, but it means like, to weave together or woven together. And so that's what it's all about, like becoming one. And so more so than the focus of like, often I'll get met like, oh, there's going to be telepathy, there's going to be talking to each other in dreams, there's going to be remote viewing and all that kind of stuff. And that may still happen, with this, but I'm getting more strongly than that, something about like the tantric sex and stuff. What decks didn't I? Okay, this one's the last one. So from the Ascended Masters deck, Detached from Drama. And this I guess will be sort of like maybe like a 5 of Swords in reverse, like, so there was conflict, and or even upright, like there was conflict, but you're going to avoid it. You're just not, you don't have to fight every fight, and you're not going to. It's a conscious decision I'm just going to walk away from this because I can't be bothered. It has nothing to do with like being afraid or being a punk or whatever. It's just not wanting to feed lower vibrations any energy. All right. And speaking of that, look what's up right behind it. Clear and shield your energy, says El Moria. So that's what we're beginning. That's what we are. I think I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna do the masculine and feminine spread. I've been tussling with this while I've been talking to you just now, because I'm like, should I do the spread that tells us like what's been blocking up? All right, I'll do the one that says that first, and I'll use this deck for it. Let's do that. And I might clarify it with one of these others. So we'll see. Let's just get started with that one. And we'll see where it takes us, if that's all right with you guys. Because I definitely want to look at some Ascended Master deck cards. So again, Lady Venus, downloads and understanding. Truth is being revealed. Deep insights are coming from heaven and the astral realm. So we really have to pay attention to any signs, synchronicities, messages through music or other sounds that we actually hear or that are in our heads, whatever the case, paying attention to really observing and receiving what's coming, and then again surrendering to the messages and the intuition and following the guidance, not just like receiving it and saying like, oh, and then you continue on with your life. Making use of it. All right, so divine being or couple. This is if you're single, if you're coupled, if you're in separation, if you're whatever the case is, this reading is for everybody. Divine being or couple. To the card that's most directly representing us right now, Paul the Venetian, experiencing grace. Share your gifts with grace. Waves of inspiration and love are coming to you. So, this is really about, I'm getting like a very Six of Pentacles kind of vibe from it. And like paying it forward and the ability to both give and receive. And generosity and like, serendipitous help from the universe. Like just in that right moment or time, something coming through, either through another person or just like a door opened up for you. But it's going to be as a result of your giving out the same kind of energy. It's about reciprocal energy. So that's that one. Recent past. Now, recent past can be recent past from, like prior to this week. Or sometimes it's recent past, like at the beginning of the week, something will happen. And then by the end of the week, it's the recent past, right? By the next day, it's the recent past. So recent past. This is perfect. It's a full moon. Phases and cycles. There is a beginning within every ending. Illusions are revealed and released. So this can be like the recent past from this morning, right? 12:44 this morning, we experienced the full moon and the lunar eclipse. This is a very water sign, and like for me, particularly Scorpio and like death kind of energy. The moon always finds its way into my readings whenever there's a major transit like this, full moon, a new moon, and I'm doing a reading, whatever reading it is, and whatever cards I'm using, if there's any kind of moon card, it's going to come out. Near future. Light activation. Shine your light. Your internal guidance is coming through loud and clear. So again, not only are you receiving maybe more downloads and understanding than normal, but it's connected to the fact that there's been an increase, there's been an activation, there's been an ascension, I think a collective one that you'll be experiencing. So that's why. Masculine's higher self. And I do the masculine because my viewership is mostly of the feminine persuasion, whether they're male or female. It's the feminine persuasion, 85% feminine the last time I looked. So masculine's higher self, faith, humanity, and benevolence. Stay calm, trust the good in yourself and others, and see the light in the world. So this is about, even if you can't see something happening, you're trying to work on manifesting something, for example, or, and it's just like you can't see, the faith is the second stage in manifestation. So I explained this yesterday in the general, that manifestation begins with the one, right? The one is representative of the thought or the idea. When we see like 1111, it's an alert to catch our attention, to say like right now is a moment of manifestation for you, like a very, very strong. So make sure you're thinking about positive things and focused on an intention of something that you're trying to bring toward yourself. And then two is about faith. 2 is that stage where you can't see if anything's happening or not, but you have to believe that that thing that you're focused on, that you're attempting to manifest, is actually coming to you. And then 3, you can begin to see it taking form. Maybe you receive word that it's happening, but it still hasn't exactly happened yet. And then 4, you have it. Boom. So this is why this is important, the faith. So holding on to any intentions that we're making. It could be an intention that you're going to release something. Like with the full moon, we release things. Sometimes I write things down, I set them on fire, because that to me signifies like I'm really done with them. I'm done with this habit. I'm done with this energy, whatever. So I write down, and then it's ablaze, it's gone. And then I have faith that it happened. And then ultimately I find that it did. Blocks to individual or shared progress. Lord Shiva and transcendence. Rise up, honor your inner force. Steps are being given. Dance with the universe. So this is what I was saying. Like, this is something we had previously pushed down. We had pushed down what our inner force. We had pushed down those things we wanted to do, those things we wanted to achieve, dreams, goals, feelings, things that we experienced in our past because we didn't want to deal with them. But if we did, they would help us to grow and to expand. And so that's been a block. And Lord Shiva comes to let us know that so that we can work on those things. And again, I think that we're not going to have a choice whether we do or not. They're coming up to be dealt with. What the feminine can do to help herself, right? So there's a block, but what can she do to help herself? Bridget, inner strength, right? Look to your strength. That's what you can do to help yourself. Makes sense. Move back to wholeness. Recognize that you have the power. You have the power of what? Manifestation. You have the power to use your mind, use your thoughts, use your body, use your soul to bring anything that you want in your life to reality. And also stuff you don't want. That's why you got to be so careful about on what you're focused. Because if you're focused on negativity, you can bring that too. And you don't want to. This is maybe connected to a fire sign energy in your life. So we have earth here, water here, fire here. And maybe most specifically, Capricorn, Scorpio, Leo. What the masculine can do to help himself. Karma releasing. Move beyond drama. You got yourself in some kind of fucked up situation, funky situation. Move beyond it. Get out of it. Maybe by simply walking away, like the goddess of war tells us to do in the other deck, right? Pallas Athena. When the goddess of war tells you to avoid drama, you know it's time to avoid drama. Create your own path and make room for good energy. Just clearing out the fake and negative and bad and low vibrational funky energy. Getting rid of it. What the universe would have both, each archetype, masculine and feminine, do to help themselves, and even wants to help us with, right? Universe wants to be involved with us if we allow it. If we say, okay, I accept your help. We have to first affirm because we have free will. What is that? It is focused intention. How funny is that, right? I told you, this is all about manifestation. Think about what you desire. Set your sights high. Expect the best possible outcome. It's sitting here right here next to the faith. That's where you're going to do the expecting for the best possible outcome right there. And the outcome. Dharma unfolding. Remember that you're on a path and take one step at a time to happiness. I think I'll leave these here and do another spread that may or may not take into account these messages. They usually does, but let's see what happens. So I'm going to use this deck now. Again, this is the Ascended Masters deck, and we began with Detached from Drama. So let's see what happens here. We had Paul the Venetian and Experiencing Grace for Divine Being a Couple, and now we have Take Charge of the Situation, says Moses. And it's another one of these very earthly feeling cards, even though there's water in the background too. This just gave me like earth feels, maybe the flower around his neck and the green jacket, and this one with the green border, again, even though there's water. So there's something, take charge of the situation. Like you got to do the work. Again, this is that Capricorn energy or earth energy. We're taking on the work and actually making things happen by being active, by actively doing something, not just waiting for stuff to happen. Recent past. Flow of prosperity in Lakshmi. So the flow of prosperity started to open up for us. And I think that's true. Beginning from when Jupiter entered Capricorn. So now there's a whole bunch of like bodies there, right? The full moon's there, the lunar eclipse is there, Jupiter's there, Saturn's there, Pluto's there. That may be it, but isn't that plenty? You know, so there's all that activity there. And Jupiter, the planet of growth and expansion. Pluto, this planet of, again, our deepest, like darkest things that we've been pushing away that we need to deal with. And Saturn, Capricorn's ruler, is like this no nonsense planet that forces you to follow through with stuff, right? So then that's what's happening here. Near future, a top light activation. The power of joy. The rainbow popped out at me because I talked all that stuff about same sex. So maybe that's happening. Maybe with your light activation, I mean, obviously not everybody's not going to be into same sex relationships or polyamorous relationships and stuff like that. But maybe for those who are newly, it's this ascension, this most recent ascension and light activation that helps you to perhaps come out of the closet and to pursue your own happiness. For others of us, we're receiving our happiness for the same reasons, right? It's the light activation, it's the ascension that promotes that, but for a different reason, not because we're coming out of the closet. Masculine entire self, a top faith is yes, and Ganesh. So what are we having faith in? That Lord Ganesha will actually knock down the obstacles that have been in our way and will successfully manifest those things that we want. That's what the faith is in. Blocks to individual or shared progress. Here atop Lord Shiva, the destroyer. But here he's all about transcendence. He's not about destroying. And it says, health and healing, says Hilarion. So this is more this earth energy, and I think it is more the Capricorn energy, the Saturn energy that's like making us, follow through on this. What the feminine can do to help herself, atop Bridget in her inner strength. It's more feminine energy. It's more mother energy. Balance, career, and home life, says Isis. So this is about nurturing yourself. Yes, not forgetting to do that, and taking care of your business. Like all work and no play makes Jill a dull girl. So we can't just be focused on work and or being the workhorse. We have to also take care of ourselves and our families and find time to have fun and to play and, be, date night, whether you're coupled or you're single and all that kind of stuff too. So that's important for the feminine. That's how she can help herself. And that may be in what. Some of us, use the strength. Maybe it is strength in like finally breaking away from all the stuff you've been doing for other people, or your focus on work and money and, toward taking care of yourself or developing a relationship or something, or both. What the masculine can do to help himself, atop karma releasing. Crystals. Crystals could be a means. And look, we got another one that's like the same sort of color scheme. And they're both purple cards. It's a different kind of purple, but they're both purple. So cards are trying to match up as best as they can. But to release your karma, you can look into crystals that do that help with that. And, use those specifically. Maybe put them under your pillow, sleep with them. What the universe would have us, how the universe would recommend that we help ourselves, whether we're masculine or feminine, and even wants to help us with, but we have to first affirm because we have free will, is go now. So again, not wasting any more time. We've been pushing it down. It's rising up and it has to be dealt with now. I said like it's a now or never. I even named the general reading it's like now or never something. I don't remember everything, but yeah, some now or never is part of it. So in terms of, again, this manifestation and the focused intention, now is when the universe is saying for us to pursue that. And then the outcome atop the Dharma unfolding is teacher. So this is like lessons learned, and it's a very Hierophant slash hermit kind of energy that I'm getting from this. Although it doesn't look very earthy. That's what I'm. The Hierophant represents the sign of Taurus, and the Hermit represents the sign of Virgo. And this card doesn't look anything earthly, but it's like lessons learned after all of that. Oh, I'm tempted to pull another one too. Speaking of lessons, right. So you may want to, again, write something down in order to release it. Write something down in order to focus on it. I've done that too. In order to focus on it in terms of manifesting for it. That can be what you want to do too. Also, this is very Mercury in Cancer, where Mercury is currently located in Capricorn, because right and thought also very Mercurian. And then the moon is, again, the moon rules the sign of Cancer. So Mercury is currently located in Cancer, retrograde. Goes direct during this period for which this reading is next Sunday on the 12th. Hierophant can be about contracts and stuff. I don't know, I'm getting something about a contract for somebody. I don't know if it's literal, a contract having to do with you being some sort of teacher. Maybe signing up for school, maybe that's part of it, or some sort of training that you need in order to further yourself. I'm going to get the other deck. Let's see what the numerology cards may add to this one. So here, divine being or couple, right? 96, forgiveness. This might, I feel like this one may go a little bit more lovey. We'll see. Recent past. Financial discipline. It's going to mean a lot of things. Well, you know what? A lot of us have had to practice different types of financial discipline with what's been going on with the global economy and the rate of unemployment and, you know, essential workers and fighting for, you know, hazard pay, and the rest of us, you know, like calling upon our so-called leaders to pass, you know, support packages and loans and all that kind of stuff. So we've had to come up with some crafty ways to live, some of us. Near future. So this is the joy and the light activation and stuff, right? Intuition. So again, this is about an increase in light. It's a light activation, awakening. It is abilities in different kinds. Of course, 22 also equals, you know, 4 or 1111. It's a master number. So you can look at it in terms of the 2s and the faith, or you can look at it in terms of the 1111 and again the manifestation, or both. Atop Lord Ganesha and the faith, speaking of the faith, is compassion, 99. And speaking of 1111, look at this. At the root, 22, the crown, 99. Together they equal 11. 11. Blocks the individual or shared progress. Abundance. So healing, I think, in this area, again, of finances, and that's what I mentioned before I started the reading, that I felt was going to come with the Capricorn full moon, like, right, in some betterment to the economy and stuff like that. It's been a block and a difficulty for some of us, but these 8s are representative of not only is 8 about karma, but 8 is about abundance as well and increase. And you know what's really funny? It's here on top of, again, Lord Shiva, the destroyer. in supreme math, the number 8 means build, destroy. Like if you're not building, if you're not being constructive and helping the situation, then you're destroying it. You're breaking it down. Sort of like when Jesus said, like, if you're not with us, you're against us. If you're not helping, you're hurting. It's all of that. So again, this is about focus. And I think not just it's about individual focus, like each person that watches the reading, your individual life, yes, but also something larger in terms of the collective, and using these energies to focus on betterment, again, at large, to like the global economy and health and healing, like, you know, again, around the world, not just in our individual lives, but in our individual lives too. What the feminine can do to help herself. Relationship change. Speaking of 11s, it's another one. 56 equals 11. Relationship change. And it can be the relationship, again, with yourself or a relationship with another person. You finally get the strength to, you know, give yourself that kind of nurturing and love, or and allow yourself to be loved by somebody else and spend time with people. It could be changing your relationship with money. Again, it's getting better. We're moving toward abundance. That's how you can help yourself with this particular block. Change your relationship with money. Learn to like it. Learn to love it, but not in an obsessive way, not in a fearful way, like, oh my God, I don't have it. You picture yourself that you already have it. You have the faith that you do, and you attract it to yourself. It comes to you. You look at money in a loving way. You hold it in your hand, and you throw it up in the air, and you know, all your bills out of your wallet and throw them in the air. Like, I can do this because money comes to me so freely. I'm just showered upon me. Money upon money upon money. Right? What the masculine can do to help himself. New beginning. So, again, how perfect is this? Karma releasing. So, like, coming to some sort of karmic completion. How? Through the use of crystals. That's what's going to help you to do it. And then once that karma is completed, it's done. That allows you for a fresh start. And look, it's a new one. So you start all over again with a new idea, a new thought, and you manifest something, again, new and better for yourself. What the universe would have each or both archetypes to do, and even wants to help us with, but we have to first affirm because we have free will, is teaching and learning. So again, I think for some of us, there may be for some, this is just like lessons learned through the experiences, right? They say light experience is the best teacher. But I just feel like some of us are actually either going to some sort of class or, actual enrolling in school or something. Let me pull another one for that too. But I definitely think it goes with what I was feeling over here. Perseverance, it's a 4 or a 22 or an 11. So like continuing to push on. And this was another one that's in that green energy. So it's like more earth, and perseverance and success, working toward, like the Capricorn, that workhorse, working toward building ourselves up. 4s are about our foundations. So it's like building a foundation and being successful in that. That's what perseverance is about. You keep at it until it works, right? And then the outcome. Boom. Outcome is completion. You're all set after this. So we start something and we see it all the way through, like Saturn wants us to do. Should I do another spread? I think I'm going to do the advice. I think we got like a complete message from start to finish, like a complete map of what it is we need to do to help to bring about this change in our own lives. Follow our dreams. Surrender to our intuition. Not be afraid to go on the adventure. And then be patient as it happens. Allow it to unfold. Don't panic because you don't see something. When there's a number 2, that's when you got to have faith, even if you don't see anything. The next card is nature. I mean, I could continue going on with this, right? I want to do advice from all of these decks. So the Ascended Master deck as well. Okay, so through this energy of the full moon, other than to our intuition, to what should the masculine be surrendering? Surrender to spirit. Once you've done everything you can do to achieve a goal, turn the situation over to the divine. Let spirit work its magic for you. Remember, the universe wants to help us with exactly that, right? With the manifestation process. So once we've done everything to achieve the goal, then it's, yes, I do want your help. Feminine. Ours is surrender worry. Make a commitment not to lead an anxiety-driven life. When worries arise, breathe them out of your body. Focus on the power of your heart and have faith that spirit is guiding you always. From the Universal Love Oracle to the masculine, emergence. So maybe some of us, some of them, were feeling sort of down and out, or burnt out. They're rising from the ashes. Maybe they had been asleep, but again, there's increase in ascension. And so they're going toward the light activation. This is also a very Scorpio energy. It's very Phoenix to me, which is representative of the sign of Scorpio, and death, which it crosses here, that Freya energy, that death, because the Phoenix was known to have a 500-year lifespan. So basically, it's like it never died. It always was coming back when people thought that it was gone, and it's like always a new beginning for it. After it would go away for a while, it's like reemerge again, like I'm back. And so I guess that's a message for the masculine. What you'll be going through. Feminine. Balance. So this card is very temperance-like for me. I don't know. I've just always gotten this sort of temperance feel from it. But at the same time, temperance represents, in the tarot, temperance represents the sign of Sagittarius. That's a fire sign, of course, and this doesn't look anything like fire. So I got that feel from it, but I also would always see something, very obviously between air and water. This could mean something for air and water connections, that, where there's a feminine who has an air sign that's particularly significant, or vice versa, a water sign that's particularly significant. But more importantly, it is about restoration and recovery and being made whole, and yes, balance. That sort of reciprocity and equity and mutual support, like I was talking about with the card with which we all just started, right? Paul the Venetian, and experiencing grace. Sharing your gifts with grace. Waves of inspiration, waves like the water of inspiration and love are coming to you. From the Keepers of the Light Oracle to the masculine, Gaia. Earth connection, maybe more Capricorn or Ceres, right? It's that Mother Earth kind of energy. Be mindful of the planet and come back to Earth. Stay grounded. So after you emerge, they don't want you to fly away. They want you to be grounded and practical and get things done. Feminine. Master Jesus and forgiveness. Didn't we just see forgiveness somewhere else? We did. I don't remember where it is though. But the feminine needing to double down on that. So this could be forgiveness of yourself or another person or both, It's a negative emotion, the inability to forgive. There's a few regret, resentment, guilt, blame, pride, fear, ego, the inability to forgive. All these things are like negative emotions. And so we have to release them. And they all require forgiveness first, again, perhaps of ourselves, and then we can go on to forgive other people, or we can forgive other people for ourselves. And even if we're not in contact with those other people, like sometimes I used to say on my channel all the time that sometimes we have to, accept the apologies we're never going to get. We just have to release stuff and let it go. And that's what we do, again, with a full moon and with a lunar eclipse. It's about endings and releasing. So I think that's what's happening for some of us. You're on the path of light, love, and forgiveness. Father healing is possible at this time. masculine, fertility and Pan. And isn't this very Capricorn? He's like a goat man, right? But I'm also laughing because of the fertility. It's again, it's like more of this sort of empress and high priestess and this sex and the tantric and all that kind of energy. So some of you may just really be active and feeling very like virile and attractive and attracted. And, you know, if you can, you're an adult. Okay, so enjoy the energy. That's all I'm going to say, in a safe and healthy way. Enjoy the energy, whatever that means for you. For the feminine, artistic expression. Isn't writing an artistic expression? We have that right card over there too. But this is coming up with creative ways to express yourself, to get the words out. And so maybe that is, again, in writing. And maybe you're not talking to anybody else. Maybe it is, you are accepting the apology you're never going to get. So you write it down as if you're talking to the person. Then, you set it on fire, or you fold it up and put it in your drawer, whatever you're into. But it's coming up with creative ways to express yourself. And lastly, from the numerology deck, 87, synchronicity to the masculine. So again, we're going to be getting tons of messages, signs, synchronicities, yes, dreams, whether you're awake, you're asleep, visions, all that here, audio messages, all kinds of things. Pay attention, allow them to guide you, surrender to them. And lastly, for the feminine, and to close out the reading, 63, card number 63, and parenting. I didn't mention it in this reading before, during, or whatever, but I did in the other two that I did. So the Ceres transit is very much about especially mother energy, but parenting in general. That and the relationships that we had. It says father healing is possible on one of the cards I just read for the feminine. Oh, the Jesus card. And it could be literal. Really could be literal for some of you. Some sort of relationship issue that you have with your father, or have with your father, or maybe you grew up with, that is very possibly coming up to be healed now. Or perhaps you yourself are a father or a parent, and with your child, there's a relationship that needs to be healed now. And definitely take advantage of this energy and get her done. Hope you guys have enjoyed the full moon and lunar eclipse in Capricorn reading. I'll be back soon. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider becoming a subscriber if you're not already one by hitting both the subscribe button and the bell button. Do comment, share, all of that. I do appreciate it. Namaste.